I'm Dutch, and let's react to the Americans. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan, and I'm a typical Dutchman. And if you're planning to come over to Europe for your holidays, or maybe to live here permanently, or if you're wondering what are those differences between the US and Europe, then you are at the right channel, because in this channel I take a look at and react to videos about life and living in the United States versus life and living in Europe or the Netherlands. And for today, I'm gonna take a look at a video of fourth place, how the Dutch built Wall Street. And I start with a subscribe and a like, and I already did know how the Dutch built Wall Street. But I thought, well, it may be an interesting video also for my viewers to take a look back at the original of Wall Street in New York, New York. So let's take a look, and I want to know what he has to say about the history of the Wall Street in New York. And if you like this kind of content, then maybe you should consider to hit the subscribe button, because we're still on trying to get up to the first 1,000 subscribers. So it would be really appreciated if you hit the subscribe button. It's costs nothing for you, and it means a lot to me. So thank you. And now let's take a look at the Dutch build. Where's my plate? There's my plate.
Dutch know how to build great streets. Haarlemmerstraat in Amsterdam, Udegracht in Utrecht, Witte de Witstraat in Rotterdam. Now, I know I'm an American that just butchered the names of those streets, but they're great because those streets are human-scaled, green, safe for pedestrians and cyclists, and always brimming with mixed-use urban life. However, the Dutch street we're talking about today wasn't created with any of those.
Yeah. Oh, William Street, Wall Street Memorial. You already see in one glow the difference between the Netherlands. 5 seconds. This with cyclists cycling over a bridge because it's a bridge turned into a cycling path, and then the next glow downstairs, and we see this
Urbanist principles in mind, at least not at first. When the Dutch carved out this street and its namesake defensive wall, then collectively known as Het Singel.
Wait a minute. There is a what the heck? This is some kind of a barrier that no one can force into the Wall Street on certain points, and this is open at one time and closed at the other time, because these are all, I assume, heavy bricks to prevent the people go by with it. And did I see a cyclist over
carved
here?
Out this street
it's walking.
And its namesake defensive wall, then collectively known as Het Singel, or the Belt, back in the 1660s, it was actually for the purpose of keeping people out, rather than bringing them together. You've heard of it. It's perhaps the most important street in the world. Of course, we're talking about Wall Street, located in the financial district of New York City, or New Amsterdam to some. Yes,
Yeah, New Amsterdam, I know. We gave it away to the British. We traded it for Suriname.
Infamous Wall Street was named after an actual wall, built by the Dutch right here in New Amsterdam, all the way back in the mid-17th century. And if that's the first time you're hearing that in your entire life, stick around for the next few minutes as we uncover the origins and the urban planning behind the one and only Wall Street.
Okay, interesting.
Right here from fourth place, your place to learn about US geography, urbanism, transportation, and city planning. For much of this video, I'll be referencing this famous map, the Castello Plan.
Oh, I would say I would take a look closer at it. The famous map, the Castello Plan? Yeah, I've seen part of it. This was the Dutch fort at one time, and the city around it.
A 1660 original drawn up by one of New Amsterdam's original land surveyors, Jacques Cortelyou, lost for centuries but then rediscovered at Via di Castello near Florence, Italy in 1900.
Near Florence, Italy? How the heck did it get all the way down in Florence, Italy?
It's a fantastic map which beautifully illustrates what this area looked like around the time of Wall Street's creation, even going as far as detailing locations of row homes, canals, gardens, fortifications, and much more.
Yeah, it is. Oh.
Of row homes, canals, gardens, fortifications.
Gardens, and these are beautiful gardens, but I also saw gardens behind a house. So each house has its own garden.
And much more. Wall Street's origins go back to the Dutch colonial era, when New Amsterdam, modern New York City, was still a small, vulnerable outpost of the Dutch West India Company. In 1653, Peter Stuyvesant, the Director General of the
Peter Stuyvesant,
New Netherland colony, ordered a defensive wall to be built along the northern edge of New Amsterdam. At the time, the small Dutch outpost felt surrounded. English settlements in New England and on Long Island were pushing inward towards New Amsterdam, and the small, sparsely populated settlement felt particularly vulnerable to attacks from the north, either from their English rivals or from a number of indigenous tribes. The defensive wall was constructed out of sharp, upright wooden posts, reinforced with earth to create grade separation. It would have looked something like this, featuring
with even towers of brick towers in it.
Several of these stone bastions where armed guards would be stationed around the clock in order to alert the townspeople of any incoming threats and act as a first line of defense. The actual wall itself stretched from modern-day Pearl Street, then known as Pearlstraat, the former eastern boundary of the island of Manhattan, all the way west to the Hudson River, roughly where Greenwich Street is today. From there, the wall ran south along the Manhattan coastline, down to Fort Amsterdam, the headquarters of Dutch New Netherland. To the north of the wall was really nothing but pure Manhattan countryside. It's kind of crazy to think of a time when Manhattan was nothing but open meadows and out farms, but that's exactly
yeah, okay. Nowadays it's valuable real estate, so yeah.
Exactly what it was like.
Of valuable ground to build real estate on.
And directly south of the wall, it was decided that a pedestrian thoroughfare be built alongside it. So the Dutch carved out a dirt path along the wall from Pearlstraat to De Haarstraat, or modern-day Broadway. That long, wide dirt path became Wall Street. Both the actual wall itself and Wall Street drew a clear line at the northern edge of the settlement, and provided a sense of security for the Dutch. In its earliest years, Wall Street was not a financial center or even a commercial marketplace. It was more of an east-west residential corridor than anything else, and one that was constantly being patrolled by armed guards from the Dutch West India Company garrison at Fort Amsterdam. If you were walking from Pearl Street to Broadway along Wall Street back then, you would have seen that large wall to your right and rural Dutch row homes surrounding gardens to your left. Residents along Wall Street were mostly made up of merchants, fur traders, and sailors, residents who made up part of New Amsterdam's population of roughly 1,500 at the time. To put that into perspective, at the same time, Amsterdam itself had over 100 times that many people, with around 150,000 people living there. But today, New York City's population towers over that of its
1.4 million in 2025 versus less than a million in Amsterdam, Netherlands 2025. 8.4 million people. Damn. That's half the entire population of the Netherlands only living in New York.
namesake predecessor. In 1664, just 11 years after the wall was built, the English conquest of New Netherland ensued, and the next year, New Amsterdam officially became New York. The worst part for the Dutch? The English never even needed to attack the wall at all. The English landed at Fort Amsterdam from the south, and essentially demanded the colony be given to them. In the decades immediately
Not entirely true. Not entirely true. The Dutch did not fight for it, I know. But it was after the third or the fourth Anglo-Saxon war with Dutch and England that we traded off New Amsterdam for Suriname. So the British gave up Suriname, gave it us to the Netherlands, and the Netherlands gave up New Amsterdam and handed that one over to Great Britain. So, yeah, without a fight, but yeah.
Immediately following the transfer of power, Wall Street would see a number of important changes and additions. First, in 1698, at the head of Wall Street, where it meets Broadway, the English constructed the first iteration of Trinity Church. That structure burned down in the Great New York City Fire of 1776, and what you're looking at here is the church's beautiful third iteration, completed in 1842. Believe it or not, this was actually the tallest building in America from then until 1869. Wow. A year after the construction of the first church, in 16...
Where? Nice graphics. Oh, very wide street.
1899, the English completely removed the then deteriorating Dutch wall, opening the possibility for northerly urban expansion. That same year, the English actually used some of the stones from the old wall in the construction of the first English-built city hall in New York, here on the corner of Wall and Nassau. That building, which was demolished in 1812, had loads of history on its own. Not only was it the City Hall, but it later became the first Capitol building of the United States established under the Constitution after the Revolutionary War, serving as the meeting place for the first U.S. Congress and the site of George Washington's first.
April 13, 1789, George Washington took the oath as the first president of the United States of America. At this site in Federal Hall. Okay, April 30.
Presidential inauguration. What you're looking at now is the second iteration of what is now known as Federal Hall, a Greek Revival-style building completed in 1842 as the Federal Custom House. And it's all of the history, architecture, and centuries-old urban planning that makes the financial district so underrated for me. Now, is Wall Street a place that, in its current form, has promoted a globalized financial order that prioritizes shareholder profit and outsourcing what were once domestic industries, manufacturing, and stable jobs for working-class Americans? Yes. Has Wall Street historically been a place of deregulation and financialization, hollowing out a...
If I look at this part, this bill, okay, this is somewhat, but the shots that I saw just a couple of seconds ago with those large buildings, skyscrapers, and if I would walk along that one with no sunlight, daylight nearby, oh, I will not feel myself at ease to walk there. Oh, man. Those
America's productive economy, fueling deindustrialization in cities and towns, all the while enriching a small elite class disconnected from everyday American life? Also yes. But does that mean we can't appreciate any bit of good that's come out of it, while also fighting for change as young American urbanists? Absolutely not. See, I love this part of the city in particular because it's where the best of America was born as well. It's the oldest part of Manhattan, and I love being able to step back in time to experience what little of those origins I can find. While I was exploring Wall Street and the surrounding financial district, I found myself not just walking through the city in the 21st century, but also in the 17th century. This area is not only home to...
This looks more like it. A lot of sunlight coming in, some trees on the side, yeah, and even a bicycle over here.
Wall Street, but also the oldest street in New York City altogether, Stone Street. And right next door, walking down Pearl Street, a tavern with 18th century origins, made famous during the Revolutionary War, a site where then General George Washington was hosted for an elaborate feast following the victorious end of the Revolutionary War. The 19th century presents itself in buildings such as Federal Hall and Trinity Church, but most beautifully inside the Seaport District, an old industrial fishing village harboring some of my favorite commercial adaptive reuse in the entire city, all the way at the east end of the financial district. Rows and rows of early American warehouses and storage buildings, living new lives as hubs for art, culture, commerce, and cuisine.
Yeah, those look great. That's the back. gigantic skyscraper in, it looks like, still, no, it's not building. Yes, I don't know what's still on the side. I don't know. And then some modern paint on the, yeah.
It's one of my absolute favorite little historical enclaves in New York, and I cannot wait to make a video all about its centerpiece, the historic Tin Building, today a world-class public market. But Wall Street would be nothing without its 20th century features. This is what America built at its very peak. This is a uniquely American achievement. Other countries just simply couldn't keep up with us from the 1910s to the 1960s, and to me that's really what makes places like Wall Street.
Yeah, this look amazing. Those small pointed buildings going in a V shape.
Special. Wall Street, William Street, Beaver Street, and Broad Street. Everywhere you look, you're seeing American greatness. 20th century professional buildings that give the area its distinct movie set-like look and feel. It's a collage of Beaux Arts, classical revival, and Art Deco architectural masterpieces, covered in ghost signs of companies that haven't even existed for decades. And yet they
Steam and Hip. Oh, sorry, Steamship. Go. I saw this S for an N mark. Steam and Hip. Ship. Okay. But this S doesn't look like this S.
still had more pride in their work and character than any one of these modern, more bland corporate concoctions closer to the water. Being here makes you proud to be an American. And at a time where our government and culture is continuously letting my generation down with false promises and long-lived lies, I say some American pride is just what the doctor ordered. Though, like I said before, Wall Street today is largely a product of globalization and disillusioned modernity. But it's still not all bad. Within the last 2 decades, the cross streets of Wall and Broad have been closed to regular car traffic, with recent pedestrian-only extensions to include parts of New Street, Exchange Place, and Cedar Street.
Pedestrian only? Oh.
Wall Street also features not 1, but 2 subway stations, and is served by the 2, 3, 4, and 5 trains, not to mention the 2 nearby Rector Street stations along the 1, R, and W trains, and also the Broad Street station served by the J and Z trains. From its Dutch origins to its early English expansion to its American prosperity, Wall Street is certainly one of the most unique and important places in America.
And even the Wall Street financial district stocks and stock trading and shareholders is originally from the Dutch. So the East Indian Company, in this case the West Indian Company, was the first company around the world that used and introduced shareholders and stocks. That's from the Dutch too. And now the United States is the most famous for it. But that's, again, one of the starter points of the Dutch.
And not for the reasons most people think. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and drop a like if you learned something today, and also if you don't want to miss any future uploads. I think this week marks 100 straight weeks of urbanism uploading to this channel.
Yeah, very, very interesting to take a look around in New York. Video with some history and knowledge. I will not say everything. I do not know everything, but a lot of that I already know. And it was interesting to see and to walk around virtually in New York, in Wall Street part of New York, the financial district of New York. Good. It was nice to see. Nice video. I hope you liked it too. And if you did, then you should hit the like button. And if you want to see more of my videos, then this is a good place to start with. And otherwise, it would be really appreciated if you hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.